Hey folks, how's it going? So, obviously, the name of the page is Clark Family Outdoors. Um, so let's start off with outdoors. Okay, what is an outdoorsman? To me, an outdoorsman is somebody that's capable and lives for the outdoors. Uh, let's go back to that old life is time and money. If actions speak louder than words, where a person chooses to invest their time and or their money shows their true character. Well, anybody that knows me knows that I love the outdoors. Whether I'm in a four-wheel drive, doing a trail, a mud run, rock climbing. I'm not quite sure how to define the overlanding. Uh, Everything I can read on the internet, it requires a rooftop tent and a trash bag hanging on your spare tire rack, which I have neither. So I'm not sure if I qualify for the overlanding. But other than that, for the four-wheel drives, I have pretty much everything covered. I've been four-wheeling all over the United States. And a lot of my trips have been compounded, be it with hunting or fishing or camping. Um, I'm pretty comfortable in the woods. I have other videos you've seen where I've been in camp for a week or two. Fishing, I enjoy fishing. I enjoy hunting. I'm not one of those radical fanatics that, I have to have the biggest buck and the biggest rack every year. No. Um, I probably suck as a hunter because I don't kill something every season or every trip. And if I need the meat, I'll harvest meat. If I don't, sometimes it's more for the enjoyment of the camping. Sometimes it's just the peace and quiet to be in nature. And sometimes it's just to enjoy watching the wildlife rather than having to shoot them. But if I'm hungry, I can eat, be it fish or game. So I think that's what makes an outdoorsman, is having the all-around skills. Whether you are on a nature hike and it gets cold and you can make a quick shelter and stay warm. Whether you're gone for the weekend or a week, whether it's a fishing trip gone bad, a trail ride gone bad, can you function and make it out of the woods and back home, without any incident? So I think to define an outdoorsman, I wouldn't say is like the guru of that sport, but overall, the knowledge is well rounded. They're proficient in many aspects of the outdoors. So I don't know. It's 2 in the morning and I'm rambling, but I've been wanting to do this and I've been thinking about it for a long time. In the last week or so, I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos and some of these survival people and preparedness companies. And I'm like, damn it, I missed the boat. I missed my window. Here's people that are making money teaching other people what I've been doing my whole life. So I guess let's start a background. I'll back up and give you my background in history. So I grew up on 100 acres. Um, it wasn't all our land. We had a little bit. My aunt and uncle had a little bit. The neighbors. Uh, there were four of us, 4 or 5 of us, accumulatively had 100 acres. And it was rural land, surrounded by the city. So a little oasis. When I was younger, there was a pretty healthy herd of deer. There was 3 or 4 bucks and 20 some doe. The squirrel population was phenomenal. Um, Rabbits came and went. We used to have fox, so between the fox and the owls, they played hell on the rabbits. The coyotes came in and killed all the fox, and then I killed all the coyotes, so the rabbits came back in. So the natural balance was in cycles. But I grew up on 100 acres. The house was wood heat, so my life was spent cutting firewood. So go into the back, pick a tree, you got to cut it up, drag it up to the house. We had an area where we would cut off all the limbs and branches and started a giant pile. And every fall, have a big bonfire. So the adventures of getting the firewood there. We had an old farm truck with a snowplow. The drive was over a 1/4 mile long, so had to keep it plowed in the wintertime when it used to snow in Ohio. I had an old Massey Ferguson, to do the farm work. We did a small garden every year, but mostly the tractor was for pulling up trees. We had a blade on it. We'd grade the driveway in the spring. You keep the runoff. So, that was a life lesson in how to run equipment, how to operate a tractor, rigging, how to pull a tree without hurting anybody, how to fall a tree so it would land right where you needed it to. My brother, common sense eluded him. So, like, one year would be okay. The next year, every time he started the tractor, he got it stuck. So, recovery, it was just, life lessons were ongoing. And they're compounded by people lacking in common sense. So as a kid, we had a creek running through the property. There was fish in it. About the age of 12, I got a 22 and a shotgun. So hunting, fishing. I learned woodcraft by just being on the property. Like I said, the squirrels were everywhere. And squirrels are the gatekeepers of the woods. So to learn fieldcraft is, as the old Indians would say, move silently. If you alert the squirrels, they alert everything else in the woods. But if you can make it through the woods without pissing off the squirrels, you have a chance. As long as you understand the other factors of the wind and scent control and all that. So, most of my life was spent hunting squirrels and groundhogs. And cutting firewood. So, firearms were always very big to me. And then when I reached driving age, my first vehicle was a 56 Willys CJ5. So, from the time that I was really young, like elementary age, I always dreamed of just traveling America and seeing the wild side of America, not the highways, but the back roads and the dirt roads. And I don't know, about 13 or 14, 12 or 13, yeah. Right in my early teens, I joined Boy Scouts. And that was pretty exciting, learning about camping and wilderness survival and, you know, all the stuff the Boy Scouts teach you. So when you combined wanting to go on an adventure and you need a four-wheel drive for an adventure, and about the same time I started Scouts, I got into reading, Outdoor Life and Field and Stream. So reading about these, different animals and different places to hunt, and what states offered what hunts, and the natural and geological challenges to each state and region of America. So I wanted to see all these, and these dreams kept compounding. So being able to drive, having a Jeep, the experience kept compounding because we're kids. You go out, dick around, you get stuck, you break something, you got to figure it out. So, and as I grew, through high school, there were a lot of adventures. A friend of the family had a cabin in Pennsylvania. So in Ohio at the time, you could only hunt deer with shotgun slugs. In Pennsylvania, you could only hunt, well, not only, but you could hunt with a rifle. And at the time, I was shooting high power, but all military surplus. So 03A3 Springfield, 8mm Mauser, 303 Enfield. So it was an eye-opening experience to go to the woods in another state, camping in a cabin. We had electricity, running water there was a spring up the hill from the cabin. So it was piped down to a kind of a gravity filter box. The inlet came in from the spring to the bottom of the box, and at the top of the box, another pipe came out, and it still traveled downhill to the faucet in the sink. So you had cold running water. So you had to leave it run at night, all day in the wintertime in freezing temperatures so that the lines didn't freeze up. And no other heat but a potbelly stove. And it was, to me, amazing, like the nostalgia of being in a hardwood forest. Here I am with a vintage rifle, 50, 100 years old. Hunting deer with an old surplus, military rifle. So I don't know, it was just fascinating. And then I moved to Colorado. So from the mountains of PA, seeing the Rocky Mountains for the first time, that was like breathtaking. Like words can't explain it. And the opportunities, the four-wheeling, the Jeep trails, the camping, the different species to hunt. In Pennsylvania, black bears are more scared of you than you are of them. In Colorado, mountain lions, bobcats, bears, aggressive bears, elk, moose. So it was eye-opening. And, oh, man, four-wheeling. I've tried about every vehicle you can think of, from Jeeps to Dodge to Chevy to Ford to Toyota. International, the old Scouts, the early Broncos, the big Broncos, Dodge pickups or Ram Chargers, Ford pickups, Ford Rangers, Toyotas, pickups, 4Runners. I've wheeled on about everything there is, from rocks to mud to sand, um, trail runs. You're crossing creeks, you're climbing rocks, you're going through a muddy field. Just everything, getting stuck and recovery, and in the 4-wheel drive world, how to build up an unbreakable 4-wheel drive. What equipment holds up, how to build your axles, gearing, lockers, recovery, winch. What other tools do you need for recovery? Tow straps, tree sabers, clevises, snatch blocks, tool kits, being able to repair your own vehicle. You break an axle shaft, the alternator goes out, things like this. And of course, hunting and fishing. It's totally different hunting and fishing, in Colorado versus Ohio or Pennsylvania. Then I joined the military, and even more experience going to different places, different parts of America, different countries. Being in the South, stationed down in Georgia. So a different culture in hunting and fishing. Now you're fishing saltwater, where I'd never had that opportunity before. So catching crabs, fishing saltwater, brackish water, hogs, alligator, bugs, different variables everywhere. You go 4-wheeling, it's red clay and mud. So how to drive in that, how to recover in that. So all these things have given me more and more experience on how to become more proficient and more prepared for my adventures, my outdoor adventures. So I guess from my experience and my perspective, being an outdoorsman and a true outdoorsman, you're well versed in everything that it takes for that pursuit, that outdoor pursuit. Camping. I've camped in, lean-tos next to a fire from tents. Now I have canvas tents with wood stoves. I made a homemade trailer because campers won't fit into the areas that I want to go into, so I had to make a camper. And it's actually pretty big, so I'm in the process of making a smaller one. That'll be more, obviously it's on the cheap. Like I said, they all look funny. You've seen that in my other videos. But they're functional and reliable. So I guess, besides my scatterbrain and my squirrels are at a rave, what is an outdoorsman? A true outdoorsman. And whatever you choose to pursue, it's having the skills to complete that pursuit, but it's also having the materials, supplies, and gear, and knowledge if that pursuit becomes a survival situation. Which we'll get into some of those later. So I got a bunch of funny stories in my travels. But today I wanted to focus on what's an outdoorsman. And I think it's just being well-rounded, maybe not an expert, but generally proficient. And like I said, I missed my window because there's people making money now teaching people how to do all this stuff that I've been doing my whole life. I wouldn't say I'm an expert, but in some facets, I'm very skilled and knowledgeable because especially with the 4-wheel drives and the vehicles and the firearms, I've been building Jeeps and four-wheel drive since that Willys. And I've built these vehicles for customers, for other people. And firearms, I've been reloading since I started shooting. So, the age of 12 or 13, and I was also taught gunsmithing. So, through high school, I was always buying and selling guns and trading guns. And I used to love going to the gun show, and I always had a budget. Like, I cut myself off at $50. What could I buy for $50? Like, some old beat up, ugly rifle, and to take it home, to fix it, to clean it up, and have it ready for the next gun show to sell it for 100 or 200 or 300. So, we'll get into story time in another video, but my expertise is in four-wheel drives, firearms, and probably set up for camping. Fishing, I'm okay. It's nothing to brag about. The same with hunting. So, having the knowledge where I'm quite skilled in some facets, but there's definitely better fishermen, there's definitely better hunters, and there's better engineers and fabricators. But I'm proficient in all and excel in a few, and I think that is what encompasses the skills to be a true outdoorsman, when you're well-rounded in everything. So I'm going to start a series on being well-rounded, being prepared, and breaking down each facet and how some of these skills and knowledge overflow into other facets. You know, I think adding to just the pursuit in the outdoors, most hunters I know, they're stocked up on bullets and cold weather clothing. Okay, well, let's overlap into the prepper situation now. How does all this knowledge and this skill pertain to living in an urban environment? You know, everybody I know that goes hunting, they always have a little day bag. When they're out, should something go wrong, you know, they have enough to make it through a night or two while they're out in the woods. Does that overlap into daily life? You know, if the truck breaks down, and let's say you drop your phone while you're getting out of the truck, you can't call 911 or call a tow company or AAA or whoever. How are you prepared to get home? So I think in today's society, where everything's going to shit and people are just so weird, and now it's toxic masculinity. What makes us an outdoorsman is now toxic. So I don't understand this, but we're going to roll with it. So I think to encompass a true outdoorsman, you know, from the Boy Scouts, hey, be prepared. Well, I think I'm going to take the outdoorsman into being prepared, and being prepared for disasters, you know, urban survival. Let's carry on the mindset of, hey, we're going hunting. You know, should something go wrong out here, I'm ready. Let's make sure everybody's ready at home. And let's, you know, and let's make sure that your vehicle and your mindset is ready for your next adventure. You know, maybe you're just hunting the farm down the road because you've never left your comfort zone and went to another state to go hunting. So I'm going to start some videos and start a series of, an American outdoorsman, but a modern American outdoorsman, where we're prepared and our skills to survive in the woods will carry over and have us prepared to survive in anything. So, thanks for watching. Please leave me some comments. Let me know what you think. If you have any idea how to tame the squirrels at a rave, please help me out here. So, I don't know. We'll make a few more videos and see how it goes.